remember those days?
I have.
One person gets it, the whole house is getting it.
No.
I never got it. Lori and the boys.
Okay, we'll open the meeting back up again. We'll open up the open meeting. First thing we're going to entertain is Carl. Presentation he's got for us.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, gentlemen of the town board, and especially Dawn, who took copies of the 9-page proposal that I put together. This is an executive summary of same. In case you don't have a copy, there is one reference copy here if anybody needs to look at any details, any specifics. And I do have the summary here if anybody wants a copy of it. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'll be very brief tonight, but I'd like to be complete as well. My name is Carl Heidenreich. I've been living in Franklin. My wife and I moved here with our 3 kids who were in their preteens 10.5 years ago. Each of them graduated from Franklin Central School, and they're all doing very well. As a matter of fact, two of my 3 kids have security clearances, so I'm very, very proud. They did very well, and I think Dawn needs credit and helping a little bit, especially from the nutritional aspect of raising them. So this presentation, the proposal, the topic of the proposal, actually came about. It has its beginnings in a question that my wife asked me over the summer. My wife is a home care physical therapist, and she does work in some of the medical facilities, the smaller medical facilities in Sydney, Walton, a little bit in Delhi. And she came home one day during the summer, and there was a ruckus outside of one of the medical offices in one of our neighboring communities. And when she walked out of the building to get in her car and go home, she was treated to the sight of a police officer throwing somebody in the back of a patrol car, and that apparently did the trick for the evening. And she came home and she was kind of upset, and she says, "What about Franklin?" Okay, we have our entire lives invested in this community. We've been here for 10.5 years. I'm up on we're up on Hill Street, kind of halfway between. Well, no, we're right next to where Vern Taylor used to live, right next to the house right before that. So we're right in town. We have a beautiful view of the village. And she says, "What happens when there's negative influence in Franklin? What's the mechanism for pushback?" And yes, we have very fine county law enforcement and state law enforcement, but law enforcement is always stretched thin. No matter what the situation is, law enforcement is always stretched thin. This is not a proposal for a police department. It is not a proposal for a constable's office. I actually based it on my experience with the National Guard, and that is, what do you guys do? Well, we train for things that may happen. I've been to various emergencies. I'm a 9/11 responder. I was Hurricane Sandy responder, Hurricane Irene, and so. We don't really do much besides training until they need us. And this is a proposal that will take a few volunteers, unpaid volunteers who only work in this capacity 2, 3, 4 hours a week at most, and designates them at the lowest, the least possible designation that we have other than just nosy neighbor, and that is security. And what it does is it gets maybe 2 or 3 individuals together, and they are prepared to assist the community. God forbid there was ever a negative influence in our community. It doesn't give anybody the power to write tickets. It doesn't give us, we don't pull anybody over. Nobody's kid is going to get hassled hanging out at the school after hours. What else would these people not do? They wouldn't go to neighbor disputes. They wouldn't deal with barking dogs. They wouldn't deal with any of those things. Suspicious vehicles, suspicious persons, and suspicious activity. That's it. That's the sweet spot. All right. And these are people who have experience. I would look to people who have law enforcement experience, security experience, EMS experience, whether they're retired from the New York City Police Department or retired from the Delaware County Sheriff's Department. And they are designated by the town security. They have the right to patrol town property, village property, and anybody in the community. For instance, if there's a business that would like these people to drive through the parking lot, hey, how about Thursday at 10 o'clock? We'll spin through your parking lot. Sure. And all it is being ready in case something happens. I love Franklin. I tell people, I keep in touch with family and colleagues from downstate, and I tell people, well, what's it like there? It's been 10 years. I said, I live in a Norman Rockwell painting, okay? But that Norman Rockwell painting is hanging on a wall in the real world. And Franklin doesn't have a mechanism of its own to deal with any type of negative influence that may happen in the future. I'm going to give you a typical, the most dramatic scenario I can come up with. Now, emergencies define themselves, and in one hand you have your experience, and in the other hand you have your standard operating procedure. But this is a non-emergency situation. The most dramatic non-emergency situation that I could come up with. Hopefully it'll never happen. Myself and another individual, or two other individuals, because I'm not looking to build myself an empire. I'd like to have, I would wish somebody would stand up and say, listen, I'm a retired Delaware County Sheriff's Deputy, and I'll run the program. Good, I'll work for you. I'll volunteer 2-3 hours a week. I'll help you. All right? That's actually what I would be the best case scenario. But let's say myself and another individual sitting in a vehicle, one of our own vehicles, not a marked vehicle, not a uniform, but we're just volunteers, all right? Plainclothes volunteers. Remember, we have a jacket that says Franklin Security on it. Yeah, Mr. Business Owner. Yes, hi, how you doing? We're sitting about a block or two away from your business, and we see 3 or 4 very, very shiny, very, very late model cars. Half of them have Jersey license plates, and there are people that none of us recognize are hanging out, and they've been there for a while. Are these your people? Heck no. All right, we have a problem. Okay, I'll tell you what you'll do, Mr. Business Owner. You call the police, I'll call the police, and when the police come down and then they give us an all clear, we'll meet at your location. When all the bad guys are gone, or potential bad guys are gone, we'll meet at your location and file a report. That's the worst case scenario I can think of. Other than that, yeah, I'm calling from downstate. My grandma lives in a house in Franklin. I haven't heard from her in a while. Could you drive by the house? Sure. What else? Yeah, I've seen some weird stuff go on. 2002 Durango, silver with a roof rack and a brush bar on the front, and a guy with an orange jacket driving it. I'll take a look, see if I can see anything next time we go out. We'll give the town board a schedule, just the town board, so not anybody else, because we don't want to advertise when we go out. It'll be random, moving hours, and that will be our on-duty schedule. We'll drive around, and hopefully we'll have agreements with business owners. Yeah, if you see the front door of my business open, I'm not there at 10 o'clock. And we'll initiate whatever the standard operating procedure is. I put that all together. I have a response matrix towards the back. This would then turn into our operating procedure if it is approved. And you see that most of the things that happen in life are not addressed. We would not address most things. All right, here it is. Suspicious person, suspicious vehicle, and suspicious activities. And that's all we would deal with. What would it take for the town? We would need to be designated as security guards. It is a 2-page application for the town to fill out. It's just name and address of the contact individual. It's actually amazingly simple. It's a 1-page application, and the next is just a signature line. Name and address of the responsible individual, proof of insurance, of course, and when we're on our on-duty schedule, you know, God forbid somebody slips and falls or something, you know, some kind of coverage. Other than that, we would submit our regulations, our standing orders, if you will, and they would be approved if we wore you know, had an insignia, because you have to have some kind of an insignia or a badge or some kind of patch, something identifying you as security, for you to be able to approach somebody and say, listen, you don't belong here, whatever. And that would be it. We probably, like a fire extinguisher hanging in your kitchen, would never be needed. But it's there if it is needed. That's the least that I could think of, other than doing absolutely nothing, which I don't think is a great thing going forward. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl. Any questions from the board?
You said you've talked to the Delaware County Sheriff?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
What was their response?
They said they would, if I brought this proposal to you and you approved it, that they are on board. If it's okay with you, it's okay with them, is basically the bottom line. As a matter of fact, of course, there's the meeting agenda, and then there was the small talk, and the small talk between myself and Senior Investigator Botts was that eyes and ears are always good, and no, people do not always report what they see. They are very reluctant to report what they see. I have a lot of experience downstate. People stay silent, they're afraid. They question themselves, they don't want to embarrass themselves. People are more afraid of sustaining a fatal injury. They're less afraid of sustaining a fatal injury than they are of being embarrassed. Okay? And they don't want to be embarrassed. That's a terrible thing. No, I don't. We've sent the car by. We don't see what you see. All right? That's not going to happen, but that's what they think is going to happen. That's what they think is going to happen, so they don't call. I'm not saying there are a lot of people that don't call, but there are some people that don't call. Perhaps we could come across as a slightly more local influence that people are willing to talk to. Listen, let's just talk this over. Yeah, I've seen this and this and this. Okay, we'll file a report. I'll file it with PD, because everything goes to PD, no matter what. Okay? I go out on patrol, I see nothing, I write down nothing to report. It all goes to PD. That night gets emailed to the proper authorities. All right? Person filed a report. They signed it. They didn't sign it. They filed it anonymously. And every Tuesday, Thursday through the next month, I'm going to be driving by, seeing if I can see what they see. And that's actually probably more that would happen than anything else. Try to see if we can confirm some suspicions. And again, if nothing happens, that's the best case scenario. Absolutely nothing happens, and I'm bored to death, and the few people I've recruited are like, man, this is the worst, most boring thing I've ever gotten involved with. I said, there you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
I spoke with Sheriff DeMond. I could not speak with Carl Vox because he was on vacation. They are not on board with this like you. They would highly suggest more like do a neighborhood watch and not have the town endorse something. Purpose being that they still have to re-interview, where if you're doing a neighborhood watch, you can still provide the same level of support that you're looking for. On the town side of it, there's an insurance. So as soon as we take and endorse you, we're responsible for any action that occurs. So the insurance company would be a sizable debt concern for the town. But Craig DeMund's suggestion was to basically do a neighborhood watch layout, and with that you wouldn't really need the town's endorsement, and could provide some of the same level of eyes and ears that you're looking to provide.
All right, with all due respect, I'm from Long Island, and Long Island had, we had town, we had volunteers that volunteered for the police department, auxiliary police. We had town security. They all had some municipal backing, and hence they had some quasi-authority because of that. Because it's the designated individuals, because anybody can go around and patrol, but it starts to get very dicey when you are entirely civilian and you have no municipal authority or backing whatsoever. You're just doing this on your own. As I said of Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now, he just thought it up and did it. I would not be comfortable with that, so I've tried to find the minimum involvement for the municipality. If it's not going to work, then I respect that, and I understand, and I thank you for
I
your
think it's a
time.
nice idea for me, myself. I'm not comfortable with oathing anyone in unless they have some form of training. With that, we're gonna be starting to get into peace officer level. And I don't wanna get into that on a town level, because then we're talking constable. But that's just for me. Between that and the insurance, but I think a neighborhood watch would be fine. You know, and you could still do the eyes and ears.
I think probably the first thing that we should do, I should do, whatever, is get a hold of the insurance company and find out what kind of coverage would be available, cost factors and stuff like that before we, you know, jump, you know, that's the one cost that is gonna be possibly put onto the town. And that should probably be the first thing we should do, and we can take it from there, Carl.
Okay, very good.
I'll give the insurance company a call, maybe tomorrow. We got the insurance papers from you, I gotta give the insurance company anyway, so. Kill two birds.
My fellow residents of Trevor Franklin, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else for the open meeting? Yes, Bob?
Yes, I would like to comment on the article that was in the Daily Star last week. The person who wrote this article has portrayed the town board as a group of liars and criminals. The 5 men in front of us are elected officials that sit up front, voted by the citizens of the town of Franklin. In my eyes, you guys do a fantastic job. So much, I felt it was my obligation as a fellow taxpayer to investigate the allegations that have been made against our town board members. And after countless hours on the phone with various comptroller officials, my findings are as follows. The town board needs to file end-of-the-year accounting records dating back to 2009. The comptroller's office has assured me that they are working diligently with our town board to resolve this issue. Number 2, no arrests or no fines will be issued to the town of Franklin, and in no way will the town's credit rating or ability to apply for grants be affected. And all parties in this are in agreement that any pending issues with the comptroller's office are being taken care of. And as for the situation that is said was uncovered by the Franklin Register, that's not the truth. The comptroller's office has been aware of this situation and has worked with the town, as was stated at the last town board meeting when the treasurer said it was being handled. And he didn't lie. It was being handled. This article was submitted by the editor of the newspaper that I believe spreads hatred, lies, and division in our town. It seems as this article's release comes on the heels of the past town board election. There are phases that a candidate feels after a defeat: sorrow, remorse, and in this case, anger and hatred. As for the losing party, it seems even a teacher at the Franklin Central School has called the winning candidates illiterate on the World Wide Web. The person who wrote this article truly wants a united Franklin. He should stop hiding in a children's library and talk to a bipartisan group of citizens, not just the ones in his losing party. In closing, I'd like to congratulate the 2 winners and to the rest of the town board. Thank you for keeping our town debt-free. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Well, nothing. You heard it. Right about it. You wanna write that the town board's liars and thieves and spread this in this town? They haven't hidden one thing from the taxpayers of this town. Nothing.
Well,
Not one thing. I talked to them, I talked to the comptroller's office, 7 different people. So you can well me all you want. The truth is out. The truth is out, and everything that you said about these people is not true.
I
So
stand behind everything
you
I
can
wrote.
stand behind it all you want. You wouldn't, because you're an editor of a paper that is run in a non-for-profit business and has political affiliations. I think that's not right. So, right away.
And, well, let's start off, it's not an article, it's a letter to the editor. It's an opinion piece.
Yeah, it was an article in the Daily Star.
But you've already written that opinion in your own paper, so it was redundant to put it in the Oregon Star. It was like,
Hate mongering is what it is. It's trying to get the people of Franklin to turn against the people that they voted for. And
you'd already made the point of that, so.
I made a point to the town, I made a larger point to the area region.
Which was.
you made a point that was baseless. You said that the town board is hiding things from the taxpayers, and they are not.
We had
The
not,
comptroller, but you have not what? The town board, they wouldn't answer me on what's going on with the current, they could not comment on the current audit that's going on right now, but as soon as it's done, you'll get your information from them too. And then you can write about it all you want. But you really should think about the town of Franklin that you care about so much, what you're doing to it. No, you should, Brian, you should sit down and think. I go to a library every day and I write articles about a bunch of honest, hardworking men. This town is debt-free, the town of Franklin. We're a debt-free town. What more do you want? What do you want from them?
I didn't say anything about that.
You didn't need to. When you call people criminals and liars that they are hiding, could possibly be stealing from Franklin.
I
that-
never said anything about stealing
Yeah.
or thieving.
Yeah.
I said the information is not being produced and has not been.
That you're calling
years.
people a liar.
Okay, we'll stop it right there. Thank you for your support, Bob.
Yep.
In your reports, Brian, did you ever call the comptroller's office?
I've emailed them, I've talked with people at the office. yes.
You've talked to people in comptroller's office?
Yes,
Albany or Binghamton?
Albany.
Because I spoke to Albany and they said they have not heard of you, and that you have not made a report, and the
Because they-
allegations that you were making would have most definitely brought up red flags for them.
I can produce the emails that I sent both, and recently to both the Albany and the Binghamton office.
Okay, they
Town of
claim
Franklin's in
that they are
Delaware
not
County.
aware of you,
And it's.
Or your
right out of
allegations.
Binghamton. You get no information from Albany.
and I spoke with both locations.
I've emailed them and I've had a telephone conversation, at least one telephone conversation with someone in the Albany office.
Do you recall who it was?
Brian, and his last name began with a B and it was like 3 or 4 letters. Bartree or something like that. At the controller's office in Binghamton.
It was just
Binghamton or Albany?
I'm
You-
sorry, Albany.
Albany or Binghamton?
Albany. Brian was in Albany.
Okay, next subject. Change of subject. Anybody else? Anything for the board?
Just a follow-up from the special board meeting,
Yep.
Clean Energy Community.
I've got a call into,
Sarah?
it's a state, through NICEAG, it's through NICEAG, it goes through. And they were supposed to get back to me today or tomorrow on an appointment, small business,
Energy assistance.
yeah, energy assistance. And I called them Monday, actually I called them, is when I got a hold of them. And they would pass it on to the next person. And then they will set an appointment. They said they'd call Tuesday or Wednesday, so if they didn't call today, if they called it into the message, I was like, there are numbers on the phone that I have no idea who they are. but no message.
I guess the question I have,
Yeah.
like for the benchmarking, I know Paul had said back when we met up here in September that he already had the numbers together for last year, 2016,
Yeah.
and most of 17.
Right.
So
We've got
I
to,
guess
we've got
my-
to pass that
why does
resolution.
why do you need a resolution? I'm wondering why you need a resolution. I thought it was just information. I didn't understand the resolution.
Information, but you've got to
You have to pass
adopt
a
the,
resolution.
you've got to pass a benchmarking resolution. It's just like the resolution we passed for the $2,500
Oh, okay,
grant.
it's their requirement.
They require, yeah, it's their
Okay.
requirement, but
I-
not ours.
I
It's,
didn't
you know, you gotta put that in,
understand.
that's just another one of the loopholes, or
Yeah.
steps you gotta go through. And then the next
Another
one is gonna be the, you know, the savings, I said we had a lot of, 4-foot fixtures in the meeting rooms and stuff that need to be upgraded.
Yep.
And in the shop, you know, everything's 30 years old.
No, I just wanted to see
And
what the
then how
status
many-
was.
Then they wanna know how many outside lights there were and this, and I said, you know, I don't know how many out, you know, 4, 6, some are 15 feet up, some are over the door front. You know, but, that should be, I'm hoping, you know, it'll come right along and,
But that organization was gonna help with that you're trying to contact, weren't they the ones that Tara said would be willing to work with you to figure out
to figure out the savings.
numbers
we
and the
can get,
savings.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like Tara said, and I'd heard it from Wayne Marshfield, you know, where, their LED lighting in Hamden was a 300% savings in electricity.
Well,
Said sooner or later, they're gonna have to pay you to take it, that's all it's that,
8
right?
watt to 60 watt, it's a big drop.
Well, yeah, it is, but, you know, but that's what, you
That'll
know,
help, good. All right.
Meredith had a 20% or something like that, you know, but that was 3 years ago, 15 and 15, I think, they said.
I guess I was just checking to make sure things are moving because
Yep.
there's more and more towns and there's only,
Getting
there
closer
were
and
9
closer.
left before. I haven't gone on the website lately
Yep.
to see if any other
Well,
towns have
I think what
qualified.
we're gonna really be waiting on is the code enforcement officer education for the solar permits.
He's been signed up
And he's
since
been
Tara
signed
was
up
first
and-
here, so
They hasn't got anybody to give them
the training,
the training.
because he signed up in
And see,
Hampton
what
and.
the advantage of that is Mark works for Hamden also, so
Right,
they're
right,
both,
But I'm saying there's nobody available to train, to do the training?
Call Tara and find out.
Isn't that ridiculous?
that's,
That she's the one that says we need to be
of course,
signed
over
up.
8-county area now where there's only one person to cover the 8 counties. I don't know, but that, you know,
That's good.
it could be a month off yet before that training, so. But if we can get this implemented, the LED lighting and stuff, see what that can, you know, that'll meet another one of the requirements.
Well, that would make number 4 if we can.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great,
Yep.
thanks.
Yep. Okay, anybody else? Well, I move, yeah, another, oh, Paul's got something?
I'm gonna need a resolution to pay any bills necessary before the end of the year.
Oh, we gotta set dates too.
Great.
Think of that.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, okay, need a resolution to have, let Paul pay any bills that are payable between now and December 31st.
I make that resolution.
A second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And we've gotta have next year's meeting dates.